we are actually going to pass it over to Shar to introduce our guest speaker for today. Shar, would you like to give your wonderful introduction?
Yes. Okay. So to recap, the topic is who helps the helper. And we know that infamous year, 2019, that just tried to take us out, and then 2020 was not pleasant either. We've really had epidemic need for self-care in this country. So I am proud to introduce, and I love being able to say this after I say, it's a woman, Chief Executive Officer, Krystle Brown-Hershey. Krystle's background is absolutely amazing. Not only has she worked with several healthcare organizations, including the Kickapoo Tribal Behavioral Health, the Integris Mental Health. She has a Master's of Science in Rehabilitation Counseling from Langston University. She has also worked with Disney. She is a mother of 5, currently working in a documentary. So the list goes on and on. I told her when I was reading her resume, I said, tell me about yourself. And with all those accomplishments, the first thing that she wanted to tell me is that she's a mother. I mean, isn't that how many of us are? It doesn't matter. I always tell people it doesn't matter how many accomplishments we get or how many degrees we have. If we don't have friends and family that love us, it's time to do some reflecting, okay? So without further ado, please, Krystle, tell us about yourself and tell us about your points of self-care and how you took mental health and turned it into your beautiful product.
Well, thanks. When I first started Sage Elm, I really started Sage Elm Apothecary as a desire to connect others to their self-care journey. Literally, I had lost my younger brother due to addiction and mental health concerns, and I wanted to work through the grief and the struggle. And so I started making products. And in making products, I started sharing them with friends. Thought nothing of it. And before I knew it, people started asking me a little bit more about it. And so I started to share them a little bit more. And that later on led to me attending markets. But more than anything, I didn't want to make just an average product. I wanted to make something that had benefits to both the body, the soul, and the mind. And so I used plants. So I started growing plants and I started using them to create an array of products. And that led to Sage and I'm creating over 150 products from plants and being in almost 3 dozen retail stores. And we just continue to grow. And so it is with honor and with pride that I get to continue that process. But it's really connecting others to their journey and bringing them peace along that walk.
So one of the things that happens when you are processing and putting together an event like this is, we women, we like to talk. And one of the things that you did for me was you talked about, you have 3 points of self-care. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yes. So I think it's really important that we always remember that self-care is it's more than just a manicure or a pedicure. The reality is that self-care is about doing something for your mind, doing something for your body, and doing something for your soul. And so you are all of those things every single second of every single day. And we have to nurture that. We have to carve out time, even if it's just 15 minutes here and there. And so when we talk about your mind, the power of the mind is amazing. Think about when you've had a hard day and you're like, if I can just get through this day, that's you. You're talking to your mind, you're coaching your mind, you're walking yourself through and saying, it's almost over. So when it comes to working with your mind, I find it really important to consider meditation, mantras and positive words for yourself, Mother Nature, and music. Think about it. If you go to a gym or go on a walk, you usually try to play some music and keep you motivated and moving, whatever that movement is for you. When you're out and you're on a vacation or you're just, piddling around in maybe your backyard or a park, you're in Mother Nature. It's the peace. It's the wind blowing. It's the sunshine, or it can be the snow. It can even be something as beautiful as sitting on a porch when it rains. Nature. And then when it comes to mantras, we as people need positive affirmations. We need things that keep us grounded and help us to remember, So I tell people all the time, find some things that really help you align positively with your day, with things that are important to your self-building. And then meditation, whether it's guided meditation, whether it's 5 minutes in the car with your headphones on listening to waterfalls, that counts. So it's important to me that we seek peace with your mind and with your body, that we center ourselves, and that we work on controlling and accepting ourselves. So when I say accept things we can't control, but that we actively move forward in trying to make better, I think that can be difficult. We cannot control everything. We can't control a grumpy coworker. We can't control traffic. But what we can do is decide, you know what? Traffic's a little backed up. Let's see what else I can do. So it's things of that nature. And then when it comes to your mind, I think it's important that you also set daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, quarterly goals, and annual goals. Because we're all going to have a day where we may not have met our goal, right? But tomorrow's a new day. You can set that goal. We can still get to whatever the goal was for your week. It might be, you know what? I think I'm going to prep my meal twice this week. That is more than what I did last week. That counts. That counts. Give yourself a round of applause because that okay. We're taking all the glitter for all the days to get what we need. And then I tell people all the time to take a step back and congratulate yourself on the positive things that you've done moving forward, the days that was difficult, but you still got up. You still kept moving. And then in congratulating yourself, bring someone else with you and elevate them. We can't do it alone. And we open these doors for others to come with us, to stand next to us. So I always believe in giving back. When it comes to your body, my 4 little nuggets on that topic are simple. It's experience, exercise, eat something great, and exfoliate. You got one body. We might as well experience the wind blowing through your hair or a warm shower at the end of a long day. Simple things like if it's cold outside, and what if you started your car early so it was warm when you got in it? You felt loved because your car was warm and it's cold outside. There are simple things every single day we can do to have that experience. I think it's important that we find physical activity, and that might be taking your lunch hour and giving yourself 10 minutes to walk. If all you have is 7 minutes, we're going to do 7 minutes of a walk in some sunshine maybe, or inside of a building. But we've got to move our bodies because our body is not a machine. Society will lead us to believe that if we just got to keep going nonstop, and we don't put anything else back in our body deserves to get the blood pumping, to build muscle, because you need this body for the rest of your life. You've got to take care of it in small ways. And then eating simple, nourishing meals that are rich in nutrients, and using things that are tasty and beautiful to you. The more beautiful your plate is, the more nourishing it is. Simple as that. You might decide on your taco to put shredded cabbage instead of lettuce. Kudos for you. That counts because we all love Taco Tuesday. And then give yourself a sense of experience that you value. Touch something soft, smell something refreshing, whether it's the zest of an orange, and give yourself a chance to just be soothed by the comforts of the day. You deserve that. And it's amazing how human touch works. That's why massage is so powerful. It's warm hands soothing your body and comforting you and helping you to relax. So you deserve to do that for yourself. And remember that, it's smiling at yourself and saying something positive and eating something pretty and colorful. Those are just very simple things that your body needs. And then my last one is something special for your soul, because your soul, it's so important. It's the one thing that's never going to be taken away from you. It's yours. And those are the T's. I call those the T's: therapy, time, talk, and take action. It's important that those are not necessarily in any particular order, but everybody needs a place of refuge to speak freely and not be judged. You deserve time. We give time to everything else and everybody else. You deserve time. And then you deserve to talk and share with somebody else that you feel is a safe place for you. And it might not be therapy. It might be a good friend outside of therapy. It might be a mentor or a coach. It might be a neighbor, and then take action. It's easy to do a lot of talking, but it's sometimes a little different on that action, you know? So that might simply be, I've been talking about starting that podcast, you know? Yeah. And that friend's going to hold you accountable. And they're going to say, you remember when you said a month ago you were going to start that podcast? So this is somebody that's going to hold you accountable that you can still speak freely to on a personal level. And so it's important to me that you take action and that you volunteer and serve others in some capacity, because that fills your soul when we do something special for others, and that we allow therapy to enter our life and that we actively take steps for change. Because if you just go into therapy and you just have a seat, 3 months, from that moment, you'll be in the same place. So we got to do the work. Also, I think it's important to give yourself time to process your feelings and your thoughts. Don't feel rushed. It's going to hurt. You might cry, you might be angry, but give yourself time to process. And then I think it's important also that you work to speak peace, whether that's in writing or verbal conversation, over your day as it begins and even when it ends. And think about things that may have bothered you or burdened you, and then you release it like a bird, or you bury it, or you flush it. But either way it goes, write down some things that have bothered or burdened your being, and then you release those. We don't want to hold on to those. Those are heavy on our soul. So I always encourage people to release those things when they're ready. So those are things that are important to me. My M's for your mind, my E's for your body, and my T's for your soul.
And you wondered why I asked you to speak today. Absolutely beautiful. I found myself just listening to you and forgetting my next question. So I'm going to go with the one that comes to mind. How did you have 5 kids, okay? I have 1 and I act like I have 5, all right? I'm just being honest, okay? So how did you find downtime and balance to create Sage Elm?
When my children were even younger, I did it when they napped, or I did it when they went to bed. And then sometimes I just wanted to show them. They're like, why are we outside picking these dandelions? Number one, they're children. They're going to love picking flowers. They're kids, right? Mm-hmm. And I felt it was something we could do together to a certain degree. And then I would, take notes and write and research things. And then when they were sleeping is when I created. I needed the peace. In order for me to pass the peace on that I'm experiencing in the moment of creation, I had to do it when I had peace. And if you've ever babysat or had a niece or nephew or a child or just the work you do, you know that, children can be a bit loud and fun, but loud. Mm-hmm. And so I needed the peace. So for me, it was also a sanctuary.
When did you know that Sage Elm was going to be a business?
I knew Sage Elm was going to be a business the first time I went to a market, and I think it was crazy. I think I sold something like $300 or $400 in 2 hours. And I was like, this might be bigger than what I thought. And I just had my one little basket of goods and thought nothing of it. And so I was like, I need to go devise a plan, because this is, I think, bigger than what I thought I was just doing as a hobby and kind of playing with. And so that was my aha moment. Because a lot of us do things that we enjoy, but it's our hobby. Not everything that's a hobby is a business. So I had to make a decision, but that was the beginning.
And what advice do you give someone who's trying to decide if their hobby should become a business?
I think the question is, how much time do you want to commit? If you only say, once or twice a month, it might just be a hobby. But if you're willing to sacrifice some late nights and some early mornings, you might have a business on your hand if you have something that your audience is craving. And if every time you deliver, they're asking for more, you may have a business on your hands. But it's going to depend on also how much that you put into it. Because if you're not willing to sacrifice and you're not willing to work extremely hard, then don't put that pressure and stress on yourself. That doesn't make you a failure. It means that you've decided that you've got your limit, respectfully.
So what formula? No. I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to ask you this question because I really want to know this. For everybody listening, about a week ago, I was having a bad day. Yeah, Shar even has bad days. And Krystle told me something that I think we can all benefit from. She called it training ground. Can you tell me how you learned that skill and share to them what that means to you?
A training ground for me means that when you get up, you're putting on your armor, you are ready to go. Think of it as almost tactical training if you were in the military. Anytime I have gone into a new field or a new venture, I push myself very hard. That's a good thing. And you also have to be very, very mindful and aware of how far you can go. But to me, if you go into new things as a training ground, then when things get hard, it's nothing to you. You were trained like a Marine when it first started, remember? So now you're ready. That's how you have to treat your passion. It's a training ground. It's going to be hard. There's going to be paperwork. And once you learn, oh, I've got paperwork over here, I've got this meeting over there, you decide you're going to do things like set a schedule. When I worked in corporate in corporate education, one thing I used to do was have my whole schedule was color coded. The first week of every month, I knocked out certain tasks that weren't even due till 2 weeks later, because I trained myself. My staff was like, she's crazy. She's so much fun, but she's crazy. And then when we would have auditors come in and national agencies come in, it would just be like a cakewalk. They were like, oh, it's like any other day, because we trained hard. And so I feel like in life, a lot of people are scared to do things to a level that are difficult. They don't want the stress. They don't want the struggle. But how do we build muscle if we don't lift the weight? It's a training ground. Train your mind and your body to be ready.
One of the things that you did when I was reading your resume is, and I think this is something that all of us can relate to, you really could have had 3 different careers in your resume, your one resume. Okay. And that's not a complaint. That's not, anything. It is, y'all, after I finished reading her resume, I called her and I said, this is heavy. This is heavy. Okay. I need to know. But everything that you learned over that time period, you're using now in your business.
Absolutely.
And so I want you to share, some of the other careers, like your Disney. And I really think that is what's made you so comfortable on Instagram. I mean, you made aloe vera look pretty last week. Okay. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, my first career as a child actor, and I continued into adulthood for a very long time. Entertainment was my career. It's my first career. I've had 4. And I'm just here to say that you guys can have as many careers as you want. If you want to be a doctor in 15 years, you can do that. And if you want to be a pilot after that, you can do that too, because then you can fly the other doctors to go help people. So there's no limit on greatness. And I'll say that I never thought in a million years that when I left entertainment, that my company would come full circle and I would be using those skills. It was not intentional. But I'll tell you that when you're in entertainment, you're trained to articulate. You're trained in eye contact and body awareness. You're also trained in how you connect to your audience. If you're in a live performance, you can see their faces. You can see their facial expressions. You can follow them. It's really a skill. But I use that same exact skill in sales. When my clients come and speak to me, or customers come up to a booth and we're talking and engaging, I have to kind of look at them and see what they're considering. Say hello to their little one or to their friend they brought with them. They have a look of doubt, or they have a question. Hey, what's wrong, huh? What you need? And they'll just start talking to me. So I have to use those same skills. I've noticed I'll be talking to a customer and somebody 15 feet away will be staring at me. And so a lot of times I have to make sure that whatever I'm saying clearly if I'm talking about product. And then somebody will say, I came all the way from over there to come see you because you had on all those colors. And I don't know, I just had to come see. Because suddenly, whether I knew it or not, I had to realize that people are watching. They just want to see, they're just curious. And they come up before they know it. We've made a connection. And they decide they just got to have something, even if it's something little, and it might be just something as simple as lip balm. So all of that is a huge, huge part. And also knowing that it's important that not only people can connect with you, but if they don't feel that they have an authentic connection, then it's like a one-hitter quitter. In business, you don't need one night stands. You need longevity. So it's important that we connect to get those genuine connections with individuals, because that also leads to doing business long term. But it must be authentic. If people don't feel that you're authentic to whatever you are doing on the nonprofit or for-profit side, they won't stick around. So for me, authenticity is very, very important. And working with Disney, I worked for Disney and I loved it. And I tell people all the time that Disney is a very immaculate place. But when you work there, you are trained to perfection. And that sounds insane, but it's true. I also attended Disney University, and there were beautiful things there. Like, for example, when you go to Disney, any of Disney's properties, do you ever see trash on the ground? It's the biggest no-no ever. You're not allowed to see trash on the ground because you're a guest. Just like your home, it's the same way. And so, they want you to feel like, oh my God, I love it here. They knew I was coming. Prepared for you every single day. They used to pump chocolate chip cookie, the baked aroma from chocolate chip cookies. They would capture it from the bakeries and pump it into the streets. And then people would be like, I sure do want a cookie. I mean, I know it's 11 a.m., but I really want a cookie. We know it's intentional. I do the same thing with Sage Elm. I intentionally set the most beautiful things in color and aroma where it's already billowing into the walkway. When my customers walk by, people have said, I could smell you from 50 feet away. It's all intentional. And so I believe in being intentional and being authentic, but Disney set that extremely high standard of customer service. They teach you those things. And that is why I value people the way I do. Not only was I trained, but it's in my heart. People are important, every single one, no matter their income level.
One of the things I also found interesting when I was reading about you, when I went to your website, was your reviews. How does it feel to have your products compared to Chanel?
Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. My goal was to keep it simple and effective. And I didn't know that other brands worked so hard to give something in that manner that I was doing on a simple scale, from plants. And so when I started having customers tell me about the designers they chose, and they would go home and say, I didn't know, but I tried it. I only buy Chanel, and oh my God, it warmed my heart. I was like, what? Well, thank you. It made me feel like, I really, really met the personal goal of excellence for that person. And that's always my goal, to offer my best to individuals and to give them, like I said, that authentic experience in just the attendance, but also when they get home. I want my goal is to always be a residue when you leave. And when you go home and you open that jar, you get that bar, I want you to remember Krystle was thinking about me, because I am, so people are important to me.
So who are your, we ask every guest this question, who's your mentors? Who's your, where do you draw your inspiration from? And you get to choose two, and they don't have to be alive. They can be past or present, and you don't have to know them. Yes.
Oh, I only get to choose two?
Okay, three.
I'm a bit of a risk taker. I'm gonna squeeze in 5. Here we go.
Okay, go for it. Go for it. It's you. I told you today's all about you, so you go for it. Okay.
All right. So I've got Toni Morrison, and I love Toni Morrison because she's very authentic to telling stories that are culturally enriching. Love that, and I think that's a big part of my business. There's a young lady by the name of Mary Seats, also known as Miss Skittles. She is one of the most popular marketing and brand developers, and she is under the age of 35. What this young lady built off of $300 is amazing. She lost her business, had to go back and buy it from a company that took it from her, and turned around and rebuilt it again, even bigger and better, under 35. Mind blowing. And she did all these things in her late 20s. So she has tons of celebrity clientele, and I really admire her drive and her story of humble beginnings. It's just beautiful. Then, of course, Oprah. I've always loved the way she's been able to take something that people thought could not be marketable and make you fall in love with everything that she says is good for you, and that's worth your time and effort. I don't think that every day you think that women who grew up where she grew up and came from where she came from can be successful. I love Oprah for that. Also, in how personally profound she is, how she owns her place as a woman, that she decided that marriage was not for her, and how respectable she's been for that and stood in that, and has not wavered due to the pressure of society in her success. Love that. Cicely Tyson, because I love how graceful she was with everything she did and every role she took grace and dignity and integrity in everything she did. And she would never do anything that she felt was beneath the dignity that she represented. And then Melanie Hobson, I love her as a financial guru.
Me too.
I think it's really important to have a very strong financial leader on any team. And so she would be the last one that I would really pay my flowers to, because she's amazing. And I really admire the work she's done. And I think that many people forget how powerful she is in the financial industry and how knowledgeable she is.
I don't see how, and if they forget, it will not be for long.
No.
But yes, I watched an interview with her, and she said what amazes her is that people always say how nice she is. I mean, this woman, she manages billions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And is she still with Starbucks, the CEO of Starbucks?
With name slipped my mind. Darn it, you took it from me.
It's okay. It's all right. I was watching her on CNBC, and that's the last interview I saw with her. So I don't pretend to know. Melanie hasn't consulted me on her schedule, so I don't know where she is currently. But yes, she's just grace and elegant and numbers. Which brings me to something else that you've done: STEM, teaching kids about STEM, teaching them science. One of the things that just blows my mind is how little girls have been told that they aren't good in science or they are not good in chemistry. And if you can bake, that's chemistry. If you can cook, that's chemistry. So can you, because one of the ways Krystle and I connected was I thought I had like 800 kids. And I thought, Barbara wants you to list your mentors in the chat, please. Okay. So, and Barbara, if she doesn't need to do that, just call me and I'll make sure that she gives them to you.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you talked about was teaching, I think you had 1,200 kids at one time, teaching them in STEM. And of course you had a team, but how did you even know you could do that?
Oh, I didn't. The first time I did it, I was like, I hope this works. But I'll say, Barbara, I'm going to type in just a second for you. I'll just tell you that the first time I did it, I was given the city here in Oklahoma City. I had the whole state of Oklahoma, and I had Oklahoma City and Tulsa. But I knew that I was amazing at relationships with people. And even though I'm an artist, I love business and I love numbers. So I was decided that, well, anybody that knows anything knows that people are the real leaders, numbers. So I decided to go into communities that I had to recruit from, and I met with the people who were the connectors to the community. I'm not talking about the ones in suits, because that's not what I needed for the communities I had to target. I needed to find people who were active, the person that knew all the business in the neighborhood, the person who knew how to go to the store and make anybody feel comfortable. I needed the person who could just speak to anybody and nobody kind of flinched at telling them a little bit of their business. And so I went and found those people in communities where that I did not reside in. And once I brought those people on, I trained them in the trenches on hot days, like 104 degrees. And then I took them to lunch and fed them lots of yummy food. And we talked about the importance of people. And then we enrolled 800 students in the city. And then we did another 1,200 in Tulsa. And then it was making sure we had dynamic mindsets to educate those children every single day and feed them snack, educate them, and get them home in those programs. STEM is important to me. So I always use science and art when reaching children. And I had to find individuals who were equally as gifted in those areas, who were passionate. And we had to get in the trenches and talk about applying things that were truly effective. So if that meant that we were slicing, 500 oranges and then drying them in a dehydrator and then showing them how to extract oil, that's what we did, because kids love it. If we had to let bread mold to study mold, that's what we did, So I was very hands-on in those ways, but I'll tell you that people doubted me. And I had to show them that not only do I know people, I know relationships. Relationships are valuable. It's not what you know, it truly is who you know. And so for me, it was building that trust in the communities. And it was also showing the districts why I value them most. If I went into an office and a person had a bunch of baseballs, guess what? They love baseball. When I came back with some baseball memorabilia or some tickets or something special or a card or anything special that they may have loved. And then from there, just to say, thank you so much for taking time, to allow me to say hello to you after the opportunity was already given. Here's a card to say thank you. So it's about being aware and being caring, and once again, being authentic. You have to be very, very careful, because in those areas, it's very easy to go, oh, you love pink? I'm going to get you 12 pink roses. Well, that doesn't always, it's about that real personal connection. So I never wanted to come off as gimmicky. I want to be authentic. And that's also the place I felt like the parents need to feel when their students were coming to programs that I had managed and directed and built. You need to know that we genuinely care about you.
That's one of the things that, I know I'm not a shrinking flower and I'm not shy. And I don't apologize for being who I am. But when people ask me, like, how did you get to be you? I can tell you, I was 9 years old and it was my first political campaign. And when I found out that people would say yes to me, I liked it. Okay. So tell me, when was your defining moment? When did you know that you were you and that you were special?
I think the first time I knew I was different as a child. I was probably close to 10. And I used to do a lot of speaking and growing up when you're a kid, and my mom was like, you talk a lot, let's find you something to do. And she put me in acting lessons when I was 8, and I continued to perform and do other things. And so I went and I spoke at an event, and somebody approached me about performing for a theater. And I didn't understand, why. And they were like, you're so gifted. And I just didn't think much of it. I mean, at my house, articulation was everything. My mom played no games. And so it was coming. In my house, everybody was articulate. I didn't think anything of it. And so I knew I was special at that moment. But I think the real light bulb came on when I was in college, because I was homeschooled growing up for quite some time. And I went to college. I remember walking out of a class one day, and some gentlemen I didn't know looked like surfers too. They had shorts on. They were like, I love coming to class with you, Krystle, because you're so cool. You say the most amazing stuff. And I was like, I do? They were like, yeah. And so I think it was in college, the light bulb came on beyond the lights and the camera and the action of performing, that I realized that I had more to offer, because people kept saying, even when I was in college, you're going to be the next Oprah. And I was like, I am. And I remember then thinking, what? And I just kind of was like, well, people kept seeing something in me. And what I noticed then was that they see a leader. It was leadership. It was my ability to be able to sit next to somebody in class who's completely different than me and make them feel comfortable, and then pull out greatness. And then we're going to produce this project, and we're going to be on the honor roll. And that was pretty much the way I felt. I was always very goal achieving, and I was always about bringing people with me, the underdog or somebody who doubted themselves, So, yeah.
Well, we're going to take 2 seconds. Lauren's going to announce the next winner, and then I'm going to let Sam ask you some questions. But okay, just in case, Sam, you have extra time, I still have questions for her.
Krystle, I know, we keep coming up with more.
I was like, I can do 2 sessions with you, and I know we'll have to just spread it out. But yes, Lauren, can you announce the next winner? And I'm going to go on mute.
I can. So our next winner is actually someone that everyone has become very familiar with and has probably grown to love as much as I have. But I can actually go ahead and say that our next winner of the bracelet is Miss Krystle herself.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, when I pulled your name, I was like, so yes. Super excited for you and Leslie Bowe. So as you guys know, we are not afraid of emailing people. So we will be emailing you both to get some insight on what you would like for it to be. We are going to ensure that you enjoy your bracelet as much as we have enjoyed connecting with you both. So thank you for all of the amazingness that you have brought. I know we are not done, but just wanted to let you know that you're the winner of that second bracelet.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So I'm going to take my turn and start asking some questions because I've had some that have started popping up that I really want to know. But we also do want to let everybody know that we are watching the chat. So if you all think of any while we're talking, go ahead, throw them in there. We'll grab them. And like Shara said, we keep thinking of more. So if you all think of any, please feel free to share them. And we will try to get to them. But I want to kind of go back to some of your points that you shared. And one of the things you said was finding like moments of joy, that kind of how that's a form of self-care, right? What are some examples for you? What brings you joy? What's maybe some music you listen to, or what's something that kind of lights you up?
I love nature. Like I genuinely love nature. So I love being out, at the ocean, or I love hikes. I love plants and flowers. It makes my soul giggle. Music, I love a variety of music. I love everything from country music, from indie, from rap to R&B. I love live music. So for me, nature and music. And then, my other secret obsession is thrift stores and garage sales and estate sales. That's why everybody's grandma loves me.
Mm-hmm.
I collect.
We were just talking about this, how we love like finding those little things. And I have the exact moment of when you find this little thing that just makes you giggle, right? It's the perfect thing.
Yes, love it. I live for it. Those things make me smile, or I'll have somebody that goes, Krystle, I found this. It reminded me of you. I'm like, I love it. What do you love? And then I go on like hunts forever, finding and collecting little things they love, because it's a thought that counts. But also there's just so many great things out there. So I live for it.
For sure. And I think that's a great thing about that is they can take as little as 2 minutes.
Yep.
You can dedicate an afternoon to just go exploring some thrift stores, especially because I know a lot of our audience today, their schedules are full.
Sure.
Right? You have a full calendar and you may not always be able to dedicate a regular time for self-care, but would you say little steps are possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those little moments. So you mentioned being in the car or, waiting, maybe you're listening to music while you're waiting for your kids to get out of school, right?
Sure.
What are some little times that you can recommend that they can just start to be aware of, that they can take that moment for self-care?
Just simply getting up 30 minutes earlier in the morning and giving yourself at least 15. Now you might hit the snooze button for the first 15, right? Because we don't want to get up. But I tell people all the time, it's amazing when you get up just a little bit earlier, what you can do for yourself if you really desire to have it. For me, I go to the gym every morning. Now, I'm not going to lie to y'all. The gym don't get more than 15 minutes of my time. Why? I really don't want to be there, but I need to be there. So I've got party music on in my headphones. I'm jamming in the car. It's some serious jamming. And so like I am the official jammer. Even in the darkest places, I've always listened to a lot of music and I love it. I love it. So getting up a little earlier, maybe getting to work 15 minutes earlier. So before you check the emails, you get to relax. Pick out your coffee mug, take your time, do some things, take a walk around before somebody asks you 20 million questions. It feels amazing because then you don't feel rushed. You don't feel that stress to hurry up and get it done before you can put your bag down, or your cup down. So for me, it's just simple things like that. And then setting reminders in my phone, I have one that says, you're doing a good job. It literally says, you're doing a good job. And it pops up throughout my day. And occasionally I have people in my life who will text me and say that you're doing a good job today. Because when you have so many things on your plate, sometimes you don't feel like you're doing a good job because your plate is a little full and you got that to-do list. So it's important to me. Little things like that, little moments.
Awesome. And you've had some moments of growth and expansion with your business, especially the last couple of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was trying to figure out where you could get some of your products. Your products go statewide. I mean, you're based in Oklahoma City, right?
Mhm.
But you've worked with retailers to get them out to people. And that can be exciting, but it can also sometimes be draining when you're trying to get all that done. So how is it up navigating those ups and downs when you're in that season of growth and expansion?
I'll say it's really, really difficult. Number one, being a woman. Originally, when people see your business, they go, "Oh, that is so cute," which is slightly insulting, but they mean well. And so it's taking that and creating a demand. And so for me, once I built the demand, it was showing people that this isn't some cute little hobby. And that this is a full business. I had an opportunity to present to OG&E a few months ago, and also some military leaders. And that's a very firm crowd to work with in, the military and in the energy sector. And I had to, really be very, very firm in who I was, talk about the success of what it came, and to stand. And I remember the looks that I got, because I'm colorful, I'm fun, but also I had to be able to show that as a woman, not only that, but I'm polished. I'm not just a wayward artist that's having fun playing in plants every day. That sounds great, but let's talk about a P&L. Let's talk about being market driven. Let's talk about B2B and B2C commerce. And then they sit up because now I'm speaking their language.
Yep.
I think it's important that we always keep both of those dynamics. And as a woman and as an executive, it's important to me that while I am great with people, I am a beast at business. And you have to take comfort in that and own. And there are going to be ups and downs. I had the opportunity several months ago, it's almost coming up on being a year, to meet one of my favorite executives. And I learned about him through a podcast. And I just fell in love with him. Like, I love his story. I love his product. And then one day, the owner of the podcast called me. And he was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you follow me." And we're just kind of chatting. He was really like casual, like surf shorts and backwards hat. It's the year 2022. Success looks different, these days than it used to. Loved it. And we're talking. And he was like, "So who's your favorite?" And I told him, and he was like, "You want to talk to him?" And I was like, "Who, me?"
Take that opportunity. Yeah.
Yes. And he called them. And the guy just sat on the phone and just went over so many things with me. And then he held my feet to the fire. And I was like, he was like, "Okay, Krystle, I hear you're doing this, this, and this. Have you thought about this?" And I could have just thumped myself, because what he was saying was absolutely right. I had already thought about it, but I hadn't met that goal yet because I had a couple of stumbling blocks in the way. I had some roadblocks. And so when he said it, I already knew that I should have done that 3 months prior, but had some issues. But I appreciate it because he took time out of his day to speak with me. He guided me and left me a few things, and then he just let it marinate. But that simple conversation pushed me. And I gave myself only so many months to knock that goal out, and I did. So it's knowing that when people take a look at what you have to offer, that they see that not only you're serious about business, but you know how to do business well to meet those goals.
Wonderful. And I mean, we saw some people in the chat who that just spoke to them. And I think we all go through moments of growth and expansion. And many of our attendees today are business owners themselves, and they may be reaching those points where it's time to grow. And I think those are some great notes for them to kind of keep in mind as they're entering it, or maybe as they've reached that point where they have expanded, and just know it's all worth it. It's all worth it to keep going. So you mentioned a little bit earlier about social media and online, and I will say anybody who has visited your website knows it is clean. It is visually pleasing, aesthetic wise. How important is it to have kind of like online self-care when it comes to the digital space? So that could be Instagram, that could be something like as a business, designing and making sure it is free of clutter and it is pleasing for the consumer, but also maybe as the business owner who has to manage that, how do you kind of keep that energy vibrant and positive?
I'm a really colorful person, as you can plainly see. And I decided that when I left the corporate sector to start my own, that I didn't want to lose that. It's really what makes me unique. So I made sure that my products spoke that as well in person. But then when it was time for me to be to launch an online store, which was very difficult, what you see today is not where I started, honey, at all. We started with a $300 Wix website that we could afford. Okay, that's where we started.
Mhm.
And it was blocky and people thought it was so cute, but it drove me nuts. But I had to start somewhere. Oftentimes we are too focused on perfection. We're waiting to get it perfect before we start. And that nobody is looking for instant perfection. You have to build to that level. So you can set goals. Maybe the website you start today is going to be improved a year and a half, 2 years from now. Once I did my first website, I did not think that I would have to revise it almost every year and a half for the next 4 years. I was working so hard to build the website. And what I ended up doing was connecting with an amazing photographer. And he took some time and he met with me and he said, bring me products. So I brought him this huge box of products. And he was like, Krystle, I've never seen anybody bring me so much stuff in life. I said, well, I couldn't fit all of me in like a little shoebox. So I had to bring it all. And so he said, talk to me and tell me about you. And I said, okay. And so as we went on, we started talking. I said, it's important to me that my customers have ease, but everything is colorful and it's fresh. And I said, I don't want to deviate from what we're known for. So once I saw the price tag, I think at that time it was close to something almost like $5,000. And I was like, do you know how many bars of soap I have to sell to do that?
Yeah.
And he just laughed at me. I worked so hard on making sure that I found the best professional. And it took me a long time. I probably hired 4 others before him and used their services and they were great. But as my business began to grow and where I wanted to be evolved and elevated, I had to level up. So that meant when people were like, oh my God, you're everywhere. Honey, I'm everywhere because I have to pay for this expensive website that I need to show y'all next year. So it was the sacrifice and the work that went into it. And I'll tell you that it was important to me that I feel like, well, what if a really successful corporation or executive goes to my website? I want them to know that what they would see in person transcends online. And so I found myself trying to constantly find that balance with photos and texture and people. I had to draw them in. And I knew that I had finally arrived one day when I was at a market and this gentleman who was related to another one of my customers from the country club walked to me and said, I don't know you. He said, but your website is amazing. He said, I know you spent money on that. And I said, it was a labor of love. It was a labor of love. And that alone let me know, okay, sis, we finally did it.
That investment paid off, right?
Oh, yeah, it was work. And so I'll say that a lot of times people want to only present very superficial things on social media. And social media, the year 2022 is not having it. They want authentic. They want to see you in rollers. They want to see you doing everyday fun stuff like drinking your coffee. They want to see the nitty and the gritty. And then you put the polish on. And then they're excited. That's what they're living for. Look at all the trending things that you see going on. It's like really raw people doing very, normal people things because people want to feel what? A connection. Even big box retailers, look at how creative their advertising is. I always follow the trends of larger entities to see how they're advertising. I watch color palettes. I've done that since I was a little girl. I watch their color palettes by the season. I watch the images they portray. And so I still do that now in business. And I follow the trend before it's really a trend. I see it in progress. Mm-hmm.
Well, and especially a lot of people don't know it, but in the creative space and in digital world and design world, there are things like color of the year, which gives you an idea of what colors you're going to see coming forward, not only in advertising, but just in backgrounds, just what's pleasing. And also gives you an insight into what people are feeling at home. And especially with 2020 and even 2021, where so much was held Zoom and you were basically invited into people's houses.
Absolutely.
That's where a lot of this authenticity came, because people are like, we're all human. Yep. Right.
We're all here.
Yep. And so along with that, with the authenticity, when you're talking about creating this kind of design for networking online, you also carry that out in your personal life, right? Like into your store, into things like that. What are some essential things when people enter that store, when they visit your website for the first time, that you want them to know about Sage and Elm?
Two of the biggest things I like them to know is that number one, everything is handmade and everything is from plants. And then from there, it's hydrating and nourishing for your being. Those are our top three, and we give it to them straight. If I can't tell them something great about something within 10 seconds, I've lost them. That's the reality of sales in general. You have to be able to captivate. I do that with color and texture. I have height ratios that I design my tables a certain way. It's very meticulous, but it's all by design. Just like when you go into the grocery store, it is designed a particular way for you to shop, for you to pick up things. There's a reason why you picked up that Snicker bar when you got to the checkout lane. It's designed that way. You're supposed to. They want you to buy it. So I'm the same way when it comes to my business, but I want them to be able to get the quick info. And then I want them to be able to see things that entice them and understand why they need it. You need this. And so that's important to me.
So when you're considering those three things that you're trying to get people to know when they come in, how do you find inspiration for that? What's your creative process when designing these products? Or is the inspiration more in how you want them to feel?
No, the inspiration comes more from what it's going to do. So for example, we did aloe, today. And so first, a lot of people have never experienced aloe in their hand before. They don't understand that it really is a very gelatinous texture. It's silky. And how hydrating it is. And so once I take them on the ride to show you this beautiful green color, let's cut it open. Look at how it looks inside. It's like Mr. Rogers, except he's showing you plants. He loves you and he's so nice. You just want whatever he's okay, Mr. Rogers, that's kind of how it feels in my soul, And so for me, it's allowing people to come on that journey with me and taking them there and showing them why the plants in their rawest form are good for them, where I found it, or what I'm going to be doing with it. One that people really seem to love is loofah. Loofah has been one of the most exciting videos that people love to talk about and come ask me questions. And now they want to grow it. I'm excited because I got people wanting to grow loofah. Anytime I can get you outside growing something, we're on to something. So for me, it's showing them the benefits first, and then I bring the artistry to it. Because I need to be beneficial. A lot of people create pretty looking things. They're gorgeous to look at. I need you to use it. So I have to put the benefits first, the artistry second.
Wonderful. And to everything you're kind of talking about, not only, the self-care points, but also, business standpoint, it just shows that there is a balance in all of us between the professional world and also our personal,
Absolutely.
right? And so for anyone who may want to start taking some steps to implement self-care, whether it's in their personal or professional life, especially if it's a major change, that can be hard. Setting boundaries or dedicating little moments. What would you say to encourage them to do those? And then what are some things that can help them start to implement self-care in their daily life?
I think the first thing I would say is, when will you start mattering to you? When? And I ask hard, direct questions like that, because until somebody says something that makes you go, I didn't think of it like that. I thought I mattered. No way, I didn't matter to me because I'm not taking care of me. I didn't even drink my water today. When people start thinking along those lines, then it gets them thinking about, what? They can wait 2 minutes while I go get a bottle of water. Okay, and so it's encouraging people to put themselves first. That job will replace you with somebody younger and cheaper. What about your dream? What about you? What's your passion? And so I encourage people to think about themselves in those ways. I encourage people to say, okay, I matter. My dreams matter. Taking care of me matters. And I ask them all the time, how are you going to cut out time for that? Can you do 15 minutes in the morning? Can you give yourself 5 minutes in the car? Let's talk about when the house gets quiet. Can you give yourself 30 minutes at night? That's not doing something for anybody else. It's not while you're wiping the cabinets in the kitchen. What about you? Because if we worked as hard at our corporate jobs or our 9-to-5s as we would for ourselves, look at what the impact we could make. You deserve it just as much as you give it.
Wonderful. And that you said it just as much in the professional world, but it's also important to realize boundaries for professional world, right?
Absolutely.
Take that time for yourself at home and your family, but also time for just you.
Mm-hmm.
And those are those moments we talk about in the car alone and just collecting or going out in nature by yourself, right?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, we will go ahead and check last call for any questions. If anybody has any that come up, I had a feeling. So Shar, would you like to ask a question?
Yes. So one of the questions that we started asking people and listening to you, what is it you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be for all women who thought that what they did wasn't good enough. That you are valued, you're beautiful, you're intelligent, you're a beast. And I want them to get in the trenches and train those coming behind them to stand next to them for success. You cannot do it alone. You might start alone. You won't end alone because you're great. So you're going to grow. So pull a seat up for somebody next to you to be great too. And that's how you know you really got something successful, when you can train somebody else next to you to come along in the best way possible. If only you can do what you do and you can't teach anybody else and you can't support and train anybody else, you're not as great as you think. Real greatness comes when you train and bring others along for the ride, or even just to clap for them alone. That is very important.
Krystle, it's truly been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And we also like to round out, what is the best way we can do to help support you and help you grow?
Oh, you know what? A share, a like on social media go a long way. So stop by Sage Elm's website, take a look around. This summer we'll be at the Sistertel Farmers Market downtown, all the way from April through October. We have a very lengthy season there. It's beautiful on a Saturday morning. So come out. I'd love to see you and talk to you. And if you can't come, we have a website that you can stop by and let me take care of you that way. Because I really, really, really take pride in all of my customers.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I mean, a lot of us got a lot out of this today, and thank you so much. And especially those points at the beginning, I was like, for your 4 T's, I was like, that's soul food. I love that. So, but we do want to announce we have something exciting. You're gonna have a giveaway, right?
I am.
A self-care challenge giveaway.
I am.
So the exciting thing about that is it's going to be going over the next month, right? So roughly about 30 days. And so we're going to encourage you all, as you take those moments, to maybe implement those times of self-care. If you're out in nature, we're going to, if you can, generate a post on social media, tag Sage and Elm, tag a friend, encourage them to participate, use the hashtag Sage and Elm Apothecary. And you want to explain what they could possibly win?
So I've got a beautiful gift basket for you, full of all types of beautiful soaps and lotions and oils and teas and soaks and all kind of beautiful little special things. We make new products every week. We reveal a new product. So I have some new seasonal reveals as well that I'm going to be including in that. And so some of these items have never been given away before. So it's going to be really exciting and I cannot wait. It's very, you deserve it all. So when your face lights up, that's what makes my day.
And just so everybody knows, I can win too, so I'm going to be competing.
We let everybody win. We've shown that everybody on the call is eligible. Everyone who posts, this is your moment. Take the chance, you know. Awesome.
Do it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And we are also excited to announce next month's call. So we're going to have on April 1st, so mark it, the first Friday of every month at noon. On April 1st, we're going to have Wild Mother from Oklahoma City. And it's going to be super exciting. And I'm also going to hand it over to Shar.
So Leslie, how's the little one? Okay. Yes. So just checking before I, have you get on here. Leslie, and Leslie, would you share also the initials of REI? Because I always call you guys REI, but I don't know if everybody knows what those initials stand for. Leslie was how I found a wild mother, and I'm going to tell you, Lauren, if you're still on here, and if not, you'll just have to listen to the recording. Just looking at your website made me so proud. And I don't even know you, but it's beautiful. And from what I hear, you also are, an organization that speaks and works, outside of Oklahoma. So again, we are multi-state platform. And Leslie, can you tell a little bit about Wild Mother?
Sure. So I don't know that I've ever told this, but I'm a freelance florist. So I just do kind of weddings or events. I don't have a shop. I just do it as kind of a side hustle. But I had the chance to attend an online floral event back in the fall. And when I saw the lineup, it said Wild Mother of Oklahoma. And I was like, wait, we've got somebody from Oklahoma who's going to, these were like florists from Germany and all over the world. And I was like, wow, this is so amazing that we have someone from our state who's on such a broad platform. It was just so amazing. So I paid the money to be on that because it's normally an in-person event. Like it's up like in Massachusetts, I think somewhere, but watched her presentation and I was just blown away. She's a phenomenal storyteller and so inspirational. And when Shar and I got connected with doing this, she instantly came to my mind as like the perfect person. Her storytelling, her business aspect, everything about it. So persistence pays. I've sent probably 50 emails. I'm sure she's probably sick of me emailing her. She's like, who is this person who keeps emailing me? But persistence paid, and she finally replied back and said, yes, I would love to do it. So I don't see her name on here. She may have had to drop off, but I am so excited for next month. Oh, she's sending a message. I'm so excited that she decided that she could be our speaker because I think you all are in for a treat. I'm just so blessed. So
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Shar, would you like to give a reminder of what exciting things happening later this month? I believe we also still have Freeman Culver on the call.
Dr. Culver, are you still with us? No. Okay, it's all right. Okay, so again, the U.S. Black Chamber, Greenwood Chamber of Commerce, and the U.S. Small Business Administration, the SBA, have a grand opening Wednesday, March 16th, 2022, 11 a.m., 11 to noon, and it's followed by facility tours. The location is 102 North Greenwood Avenue, Suite 200, Tulsa, Oklahoma. One of the things that I was hoping Freeman to talk about, because I find it absolutely amazing, is that Facebook to me, Meta to the rest of the world, is going to be one of the corporate sponsors. So for us to have something like that in Oklahoma, I'm excited to see what the organizations can do when they collaborate together. So.
That's awesome.
And a reminder, that's for the Greenwood Women's Business Center opening. Correct.
Grand opening.
And it's going to have one of our big friends as a speaker.
Roxanne Griffith, U.S. Department of Labor, regional. This will be her first visit to Tulsa, everybody. So if you want to meet her in person, this is a perfect opportunity. And the event is free. So you come and you meet some really incredible aspiring women. But you can also network. So bring your business cards, bring your ideas. Don't tell them I said this, but bring your proposals. Hey, you got a captive audience. Use this moment for all it's worth. They're going to be here to support, women in Oklahoma. Let's give them an opportunity. I certainly am. Okay. So, yes. And if there's any questions or anything that you all need prior to that, please go to our website. Please email us. Sam and Lauren are the reason that we have our website. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to see it, but thanks everyone here for so patiently waiting until we were up and running. It was time. So again,
we're in our season of growth.
Yeah, thank you. That's the real thing. And Krystle, you were right. I was waiting for perfection. Can't wait. Just got
Little
to
steps. Yep.
Yep. And I want to tell you guys, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to share with you. And thanking you for making it a place where business and women come together and we talk about excellence, because oftentimes we've had to dim our light for a long time. And so it's okay to be a beast in business, because that's what they're going to get. They're going to get all of this power and strength that women have to give. And so I deeply appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Have
Thank
a
you.
great month, and we will see you in April.
See you in April.
In April.
Take-